So here I am in our forest garden in the middle of a comfrey patch. I planted quite a lot of comfrey here. It's the most amazing plant and I want to tell you all about it and its properties and what it can be used for. So comfrey has been used for over 2,000 years. It was first used by the ancient Greeks and the Romans. And its other name is knitbone, that's its common name. There's more than 34 different varieties of comfrey, but yeah, one of its names is knitbone, and that's because it was used in the past to heal. It's a very good healing herb, and it's good for healing bones and also for stopping bleeding. So they used it a lot for wounds. Yeah, monks used to grow it in their gardens to help heal the wounds of soldiers. So it's got a lot of really good properties. And it's also good for making fertiliser for your garden. So you can cut the leaves, put it into some water, leave it for a few weeks, and then that water takes on all these great qualities and you've got a nice organic fertiliser, which then you can water down a bit and put on your plants. And it's easy to grow. It tends to prefer damp conditions, grassy conditions. You sometimes see it growing at the side of streams. I find here in France, ours actually grows even in dry conditions. It's really good. It's got a very deep root, goes right down, brings loads of good nutrients up to the top of the soil. So if you plant some comfrey next to another plant, it's good for that other plant as well, because all these nutrients are brought up to the surface where other plants with shallower roots can access them. So it's extremely good. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this back a bit, this patch, and sometimes I just cut it and spread the leaves and just leave them on the ground or put them under some fruit trees. Today I'm going to make a poultice as well, because you can make a poultice that you can actually put on. It's meant to be very good for reducing inflammation and bruising. So if you've bruised yourself or sprained yourself somewhere, then a comfrey poultice can be really good. So I'm going to show you how to make a poultice as well. I have to say at this point, it's not recommended to make teas and to ingest comfrey. People have done that in the past, but it's actually, I have to say that I am definitely not recommending you do that. If you want to take comfrey in other ways, that's entirely up to you, but I would recommend you went to see a herbalist or someone who really understands it, because it can be very toxic to the liver. So that's my little disclaimer. But as for applying it, it's fine. It can be really good. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I should add also, it's very good for bees. Bees love comfrey flowers. They vary the colours. You can get white flowers, purple flowers. This variety of comfrey that I grow is all Bocking 14. You can grow it from the root. You can propagate it from the root by doing little root cuttings, slicing it into little short pieces of root, planting each of those individually, and you'll get a new plant, and it's a very vigorous plant. But Bocking 14 is good because it doesn't just spread. The only way to propagate it is by these root cuttings, whereas some varieties of comfrey, they can spread and you could have your whole garden covered in it but in no time, and that could be a problem. So I use the Bocking 14 variety. I'll put a link in the comments down below. So yeah, so some of this is getting a bit big, and I'll spend a bit of time. You can see the leaves. There's a nice big leaf. There's one. The leaves are a bit furry feeling almost. They've got little hairs on them. They're very sort of veined and like that. Big strong leaves. That's actually quite a small one. They can be enormous. I'm going to continue cutting this, and I'll put it on one side and put it under some of the other plants that could do with a bit of nutrients. Some of it I'm going to put in the water butt as well. So I'll leave that a few weeks, and then the nutrients will come out of the leaves into the water. I'll be able to dilute that down with into my watering can and use that to water some of the other plants and shrubs, and that will give them a lot of goodness. So I'm going to use the remaining leaves, or some of them, to make a poultice. This can be used for strains, bruises, bee stings. If you got stung by a bee or something, it can help to relieve the pain because it's very anti-inflammatory, and it's got a lot of antioxidants in it as well. So I'm just going to pick a few for the poultice. I can put stems and things in as well. So I've selected a few comfrey leaves to make my poultice, and I'm going to just slice them up just like that. And the stalks as well, you can use them too. So we're just making it smaller, because we want in the end for it to be like a sort of paste. They're quite hairy, the stems. If you don't like the feel of that, just wear some gloves or something, but I don't mind. So we've got the chopped comfrey leaves, and I'm going to add a bit of water. Don't need too much water because they've got quite a lot of moisture within the leaves themselves. And the more water you add, the more sloppy your mix is going to be. But that's okay, because afterwards we're going to put a bit of flour in just as a thickening agent. So you've got a bit of room to play with. So that's mine. So I've still got some quite big chunky leaves, but that doesn't matter because the nutrients will still come out of that. And I'm going to add a little bit of flour now, and you'll need to do the same probably. And that's just a little thickening agent. So I just put a couple of tablespoons of flour, and then just mix it up. And you'll end up with a lovely thick green paste. Now there's quite a lot here, so I probably didn't need to use as many leaves. We're going to apply this poultice to Tom, to his arm, just so we can have a real live patient to demonstrate with. Yeah, so it's still quite sloppy, so I'm going to put a little bit more flour in, get it to a consistency I'm happy with, and then we can use that. And also, if you've got a lot left over, you can freeze it. You could just put it in a bag and put it in your freezer, and then you've got it for next time. So now I'm going to take some of the mixture and put it onto, I've got a few layers of muslin cloth here that I just happen to have, but you could use like an old t-shirt or anything like that would be work just as well, maybe better. So I haven't got a big piece because it's only going to be a small bit on his wrist. And then you can use an old t-shirt or another cloth just to bind it on as well, because it is a little bit drippy and you probably want to leave it on for 4 to 6 hours, something like that. And you can replenish it after that. You could add more, add some fresh mixture. Yes, it's a little bit messy as well. So I'll just get some of the mixture here. Like I say, yours won't be quite as chunky. And just put it onto the cloth or whatever it is you're using. There we go. That's lovely. This is really good stuff. It's very soothing. And actually I can really smell it. It's not a horrible smell. It's not unlike the nettles really. I suppose it's similar. There we go. And then you can just fold that up a bit. I've actually put a little bit of kitchen roll underneath as well. And then this bit just contains it a little. And then this bit's going to be in contact with his arm. Okay, so we've got a willing patient who's being very tolerant of me moving him into the sunshine and various things so you can see his arm. So I'm just going to put it down so you can see the arm, hopefully. There we go. And imagine this is sprained here. We've got our poultice that we've just prepared. Looks a bit horrible at the moment, but it's extremely soothing. So you do want the actual plant to be in contact with the skin. So I'm just going to place that gently on. There we are. Does that feel okay? And then you use whatever you've got to hand. Now this is just a bit of, for this demonstration, I've just got a bit of an old pillowcase here actually, but t-shirts are great for these sorts of things. And then just bind it round. It's rather thick. I think I could do with half of that really, but just for the purpose of showing you, I'll just put that round quite firmly to keep it in place. And why it's good to use something like an old t-shirt or something is that it's quite messy. The actual mixture is quite messy, and so it will probably leak through onto it in time. So you'd leave that on for 4 to 6 hours. You can replenish the stuff if you want, and just you could tie that in a knot or just sew it. But that's how you would apply it. It's great for things like arthritis and stuff. So if you've got bad knees, you can put it on your knees. And it's very soothing, and yeah, so that's good. Okay, happy?
Thank you. I feel much better now.
Cured. So that's comfrey, a few uses of comfrey. If you've got space in your garden, grow some comfrey. It's got so many good uses, as you can see. And I would recommend the Bocking 14 variety myself, so it doesn't just spread everywhere. If you like these videos, there's a couple more here you might be interested in. Subscribe if you want more of this kind of video. Ring the bell if you want to be notified of when I produce new ones. Have a good week. Bye.